Hi everyone. Am I audible? Hi everyone. Yes, audible. Okay. So is your term two. Your chat is not visible. Okay. So okay. Anyway, just a second. So chat is again not visible. I'll ask. Okay. Okay. So is your term 2 exams with Unacademy Plus. Okay. So Unacademy Plus subscription at flat 10% off. Alright. 1 second. I'll just go to your this thing. Alright. So with for 10% off, what you can do is you can use my referral code Vani YT. Okay, so Vani YT is my referral code where you will be getting 10% off on the subscription. Okay, so welcome to class. I am Vani Kari, biology educator at Unacademy. I am an engineer with bachelor's and master's degree in biotechnology and a B.Ed degree. Also a founder of a startup where I grow microgreens by vertical farming technology. Okay. 1 second. All right. Okay, so what we are going to study today, it is the excretory organs. Okay, so before we study about the excretory organs, so I'll be anyway mentioning about the excretory organs today, and we will see what all different types of nitrogenous waste that are there. Okay, so you can also follow Unacademy champions on Telegram, so link you will find in the description box. So subscribers on YouTube now, let's target about 1000 subscribers. So you can press on bell icon and you will be getting the notification whenever the classes are there. Okay. So moving on to the topic. Yep. Okay, so now when we mention about the excretion, okay, so excretion is basically, just a second, I got the link. I'll just so that I can see a chat section. Yeah, now I am able to see a chat. Okay, so hi Chetna. Okay, so the link was not available actually. Yes, today is your birthday. Okay, happy birthday Chetna. Have a nice day. Okay, is there a lag? It is fine, right? Happy birthday Chetna. Okay, so now moving on to excretion part. So process of removal of chemical waste. So what are the different chemical waste we will see? Okay, so mainly the nitrogenous type. So what are the nitrogenous waste that are there? So if we are talking about the nitrogenous waste which are produced in different organisms. Okay, so what will happen? So there is a nitrogenous waste. Okay. Write my name and screen. Okay, so happy birthday Chetna, you want me to write? So Chetna, I'll write. All right, is that fine? So Chetna, right? Okay, 1 second. Okay, happy birthday. All right, so nitrogenous waste, what is them? Okay, so there are different types of nitrogenous waste which we need to get rid of. Okay, so we need to get rid of these because we don't want them to stay in our body. Okay, so now in this case, all right, so here, just a second. Yeah, so in this case, when we mention about this one, so there are different nitrogenous waste that are there. Okay, so one is ammonia. Okay, so there is ammonia, then there is uric acid. Okay, and then there is urea. Okay, so these are the three different nitrogenous waste what we find, mainly the chemical waste when we mention. Okay, so these are to be removed from the body as known as the excretion. So definition, you need to write exact same definition what is given in your textbook. Okay, so excretion plays an important role in maintaining a homeostatic condition. What is the homeostatic condition? Anybody? Chetna or who else is there? Yep. So what exactly is homeostatic condition? That is maintenance of this particular, the blood is having all the unwanted things which are to be removed out. Okay, so now excretion plays a role where the body is to be kept healthy, so that is by maintaining the same concentration of things in the blood. Okay, or it can be with respect to temperature also when we mention about thermoregulation. Okay, so basically homeostatic is basically throughout the body, so same kind of concentration of this useful things have to be there. Okay, so now the organs which are concerned with the formation, storage and elimination of urine, so they'll form this excretory system. So let's see what all substances that we need to get rid of. So now there are a number of chemical substances which are regularly formed in our body or which are absorbed through the food that cannot be get rid of. So now here in this case, okay, so right, so I'll just explain about this one. So if we are talking about the starch, okay, so this is the food that we are consuming. Okay, so we are consuming a rice, so rice will be rich in starch. Now, so what will happen? So this will be broken down into glucose and excess of glucose. So let's say excess of glucose is there. So in the liver, what is going to happen? So this excess of glucose, it will be converted into glycogen and it will be stored in the liver. Okay, so that is what happens. So here again the hormonal roles is there. Okay, so now whenever, so this is with respect to carbohydrate, because starch is a carbohydrate. Now, so let's say we are consuming protein in excess. Okay, so we are consuming too much protein based diet. So let's say those who are consuming meat. Okay, so their food is basically rich in protein, so protein rich diet it is. So whenever too much of protein is taken, so this excess of protein, so amino acid formation will occur. So that means this protein is broken down and the amino acids can be formed. So this amino acid, what is them? So this we cannot store in our body for a longer time period, or it is usually not stored. Okay, so what can be done is, so this amino acid or this excess amount of protein, so let's say anything that is an excess amount of it, so this will be converted into urea, that is in the liver again. Okay, so this is where, so urea formation will occur, then it will be removed out of the body. So this is for the protein. So now if we are talking about the fats, so fats will be stored. Okay, so fats are actually stored, so these will get stored by the body, so that is in the adipose tissue. So now we are mainly talking about these nitrogenous waste. So you can see there are nitrogenous wastes here, and these needs to be get rid of, and that we can form by the protein. So whenever excess amount of protein is consumed, so that excess amount of protein will be converted into, basically it will broken down into amino acid, then this amino acid is converted into ammonia or uric acid or urea in our body. So this one in case of human body, so we will be forming a urea and then it will be removed. Okay, so there are a number of chemical substances which are regularly formed in our body, which are absorbed through the food. So basically through the food only, that must be got rid of, otherwise they will become harmful. So what will happen? So if this urea remains in our body, so this can be harmful. Okay, so we need to remove this harmful substance which is there. Okay, so for that there is a mechanism or there is a system which we call as a excretory system. Okay, so excretory system, or we can also mention it as a urinary system, which is gonna help us in removing this unwanted or a poisonous one, or we can say toxic compound in the tissues. Okay, so this urea, if it remains in the tissue, it will damage the surrounding tissue and tissues cannot work properly. That is why all these needs to die, or all these harmful compounds what are there, so they need to be removed out. So what are the harmful substances? One thing that we know is carbon dioxide. Okay, so carbon dioxide and water. So where is it produced? How it is carbon dioxide is produced? So you know, right? Cellular respiration occurs. So in cellular respiration, glucose is there. Okay, so this is the digestive product, and then respiratory product we have got the oxygen. So glucose is gonna combine with the oxygen, and there will be formation of this waste product, water, and then the carbon dioxide. Okay, then there is formation of ATP. Okay, so ATP is there. So this ATP we anyway require. Okay, and these two what are there? So these are not required, so we need to get rid of this one. Okay, so we need to get rid of these two compounds, and that is done through the lungs. Okay, so CO2 we can remove through the lungs, and vapor, water, what is them? So in the form of vapor to some extent, this can be again removed through the lungs also. Okay, or it can be removed through the urine. So that is basically urinary system also is gonna remove the unwanted or excess amount of water. So there is also option. Okay, so now here this is with respect to cellular respiration. Okay, so cellular respiration, when that occurs, so we will see different organs what are associated. So one thing what we saw, so this was basically carbon dioxide and water, which are actually the respiratory product. As you can see, this occurs in cell. Okay, so inside the cell, that is mainly, so let's say this is the cell now. Okay, so this cell is having a nucleus here, and in cytoplasm certain steps will occur. So mainly the ATP synthesis when we talk of, so this occurs in this mitochondria. Okay, so mitochondria is where the cellular respiration occurs. That is why what we call this mitochondria as, it is a powerhouse of a cell we call, right? That is because ATP is generated in this mitochondria. That is why we call it as a powerhouse of a cell. So how it is happening? Because cellular respiration occurs here and ATP synthesis occurs in the mitochondria. All right, is this clear? So other than that, there are nitrogenous metabolic waste. So nitrogenous metabolic waste I just discussed now. So nitrogenous waste is basically in different organisms. So there can be ammonia, there can be uric acid, then there can be urea. So let's just discuss slightly about these nitrogenous waste. Then we will go to the next one. So nitrogenous waste when we mention, okay, so fishes and all, okay, so nitrogenous waste, mainly the ammonia, what is there? Okay, so ammonia is too toxic. So this particular compound ammonia, okay, so this is too toxic. Okay, so this shouldn't be stored in our body. So now this is in case of fishes and all. So since they continuously live in water, so they are aquatic ones. Okay, so large amount of water is required in order to remove this ammonia from our body. So let's say we want to remove 1 gram of ammonia. Okay, so for that nearly 500, okay, so we can say 300 to, or maybe 500, or I'll write the maximum only. So 500 ml of water is required. That is to remove 1 gram of ammonia. So how much? So let's say it is formed in our body. So what will happen? So we don't drink so much water. So we don't keep on drinking so much water. You know, lot of people have the toxic accumulation, that is toxic compounds like nitrogenous waste accumulation in their body, and that is why usually doctors or any health checkers, okay, so what they do is, so they'll suggest you to go for just a second. Yeah, so they'll suggest you to go for drinking lots of water, because lot of water in you drink, so it can remove the stored toxic materials. So this one, since fish is forming this ammonia, so since it is present in the aquatic water itself, so it need not drink water. So basically through the, since body is completely circulating with the water itself, so what can happen, so this particular ammonia, what is there, so it will be removed by this water which is there. So since that is why it is aquatic. Now if we are talking about the uric acid, so you know where uric acid formation occurs. So you have you seen a poop or a stool of a birds, okay, so bird stool if you observe, so this will have somewhat greenish part, okay, so greenish liquidy part will be there in the poop, okay, so I'm talking about the stool or poop or the fecal material, okay, so there we can find this greenish liquidy part will be there, and you might have observed a white colored somewhat solid, or maybe so it is basically whitish, okay, and it will be somewhat solid, okay, so it is a solid one. So this whitish solid, what is there, one second, okay, so this whitish solid part, what is there, so this is actually the uric acid. So lot of industrialists, those who require this uric acid, so they'll be extracting and they'll use it for many other purposes, okay, and this is actually less toxic as compared to the, so this one is uric acid when we mention, so this is less toxic, okay, compared to ammonia. So this is highly toxic, okay, so this one is highly toxic. Now in our case, that is in human case, so what will happen, so humans are forming this urea, okay, so this urea formation, what is there, so this requires about 50 ml of water, okay, so to remove 1 gram of, one second, so this is to remove 1 gram of urea, okay, so about 50 ml of water is sufficient. So you know that you at least consume this 50 ml, so you are getting rid of this 1 gram of urea which is formed. So that is when, so how exactly urea is formed now, so let's see that, okay, so how exactly the formation of urea occurs in our body. So you know, you consume this excess amount of protein, right? So whenever you consume an excess amount of protein, hi Saurabh, hello, good afternoon. Okay, so whenever you consume an excess amount of protein, so you know this protein will not be stored, okay, so we don't store protein in our body. So anything excess amount of, we don't store protein in our body, okay, so we are not storing protein in our body. So what has to be done, so now when you consume a excess amount of protein, okay, so excess you have consumed, so in those cases what needs to be done, so excess amount of protein has to be removed out. So let's say we have formed, so this protein excess which is there, so this is degraded into amino acid, okay, so protein is degraded into amino acid, okay, so after that this amino acid structure, so basically you know amine group will be there, so this amino acid is gonna get converted into urea, okay, so urea formation will occur. So this urea is actually the toxic one, but less compared to ammonia again, okay, so this toxic compound we need to get rid of, and that we can do. So let's say we are drinking about 50 ml of of water. Okay, so 1 gram of urea we can remove. Okay, so that is how the urea removal can be done. So now if we have to see what exactly is the structure of amino acid and how exactly is urea is formed. So this is the structure of amino acid. So this somewhat looks like this. Okay, so there is carbon groups, there is carboxylic acid, then there is amine group. Okay, then there is variable group, and there is H. Okay, so this part will be forming any of the organic acids. So this is actually the amine group. So this amine group, what is there? So it will combine with one more H plus ion and it will be forming the NH3. Okay, so this NH3, what is there? So 2 of the NH3 will combine with the carbon dioxide to form the urea. So urea formation is gonna occur when this occurs. So urea will be formed as such in our body and we need to get rid of them. Alright, so carbon dioxide and water, when we mention, every living cell liberates energy, that is by oxidizing the glucose. So this is with respect to cellular respiration what we talk of. Okay, so cellular respiration, when we mention, so glucose is gonna combine with the oxygen. Okay, so you are respiring, right? So you are respiring continuously and there is formation of this particular oxidation of glucose will occur and there will be formation of carbon dioxide and water formation occurs and ATP is generated. So here every living cell is gonna liberate the energy. So this is actually the energy, adenosine triphosphate, that is by oxidizing glucose. So oxidation of glucose is occurring. Okay, so that is with the production of carbon dioxide and water. Okay, so carbon dioxide and water is being produced. So now this carbon dioxide, what is that? So we need to eliminate it. So how are we going to eliminate? So this is through the blood again. Okay, so hemoglobin is gonna combine with the carbon dioxide and then through the lung the diffusion of this gas will occur and what will happen? So we are expiring this or exhalation of this particular carbon dioxide is done. So you can just hold your hand like this to your mouth. Okay, so you can feel the vapor also. Okay, so it is somewhat moisture. Okay, so anyway the carbon dioxide is anyway going, the gas, and this water, what is there? So this can go out in the form of vapor also. So if you hold this hand to your nose or towards the mouth, so you can feel that there is a water vapor which is being lost. Okay, so water vapor formation which is there, just a second. Okay, so this is the vapor which is formed here which you can get rid of. Yes, understanding this, Chetana or Saurabh? So water can be lost in the form of vapor as well. Then there is nitrogenous metabolic waste. So these include urea. So there is urea, then there is uric acid, then there is ammonia. Okay, so all these need to be get rid of. So this is highly toxic, this is somewhat toxic, and this is less toxic comparatively. Okay, so these are produced mainly in the liver itself from the dead protein. Okay, so dead protein remains what are there. So that is why we always say that excess amount of protein, what is there? So it will not be remained or it will not be stored in our body. So this is gonna be forming, so excess amount of protein, a urea formation will occur. Okay, so of the other tissue that are brought to it, so any extra amino acid, that is digestion products of protein, so these cannot be stored in the body. So that is why they are broken down in the liver, that is to produce useful or usable or also storable glucose. Okay, so there is formation of organic acid is gonna occur or glucose formation and the urea. So the other part, what is this? So here you can see, so there was a formation. Where did I write that? Let me just check. Somewhere here I had written, maybe Yeah, here. Okay, so this part, what is that? So this is a amino acid now. Okay, so this amino acid, so if we are removing this part and this particular part, what is there? So this is going to form the organic acid, so we can form the glucose or different required molecules can be formed. Okay, and the other part, that is the NH2 which was there, so it will combine with the H, that is proton, and then there will be formation of NH3, ammonia. Okay, so urea has to be excreted out, so we will excrete out this urea. So urea is again highly poisonous, so if allowed to accumulate in the blood to a certain level, it can cause the death. So that is why there is a kidney. Okay, so kidney, and in kidney what is there? So there is a nephron. So nephron will do the function of ultrafiltration, right? So through this ultrafiltration process, what will happen? So we will see all these processes. Okay, so I'll explain ultrafiltration. We will see what is reabsorption, the tubular secretion, osmoregulation. So we will see all that. Okay, so urea is excreted out through the kidneys. So kidneys are the one where the urea can be excreted out. So this is about the other nitrogenous waste what we discussed. Okay, so now when we mention about the excess salts, so excess salts such as common salt, so now we are consuming too much of a salt, so that can, so anything that is in excess, so that can also be removed through the urine itself. Okay, and even some excess water soluble vitamins, so you are consuming vitamin B, vitamin C, which needs to be eliminated. Okay, so this will be vitamin, excess amount of vitamin. Okay, so excess amount of vitamin, what is there? Again, whatever is required, so that amount will be used. And if you are consuming in excess, so this excess amount of vitamin, so this will get eliminated. Okay, so this will get eliminated, that is again through the kidneys itself. So salts are mainly given out by the kidneys, and some vitamins also can be given out through the kidneys. Then water, as usual, you know, so it is taken in with food. So with food only we are taking this in, as well as the beverages. Okay, so like you might be drinking different what we can say, maybe coke, or it can be any fruit juices. Okay, so all those, or it is tea, coffee, so there also, so water you are consuming there, so it can be removed out. Okay, so this one water is excess again, so the one which is not required by body, so that can be removed out in the form of a urine. Is this clear? Any doubt till here? Yes. Okay, so moving on to next part. Okay, so here the excess quantity of water when we mention. Okay, so excess quantity of water is removed, which incidentally also serves the useful purpose of dissolving the harmful materials to carry them out. Okay, so here in this case the excess quantity of water is there. So let's say there is excess amount of water, so that can be used, that can be used in dissolving the harmful materials to carry out. So basically the urea is there, excess amount of salt is there, so we can use this water to dissolve the harmful materials, and that can be carried out in the form of a urine. Okay, just a second. All right. Okay, so bile pigments when we mention, so these are yellow bilirubin. Okay, so you know bilirubin pigment formation, so are the breakdown products of a hemoglobin of the dead RBC. So let's say there is a RBC now. Okay, so this is a RBC which is flat and disc-shaped, we can say. Okay, so this RBC, what is that? So it will have the hemoglobin onto the surface. So that is why we can find this hemoglobin to be giving the red coloration to the red blood cells. Okay, so now this particular RBC is actually the dead RBC. Okay, so it is a dead RBC. So this hemoglobin, what is there, so this needs to be broken down. Okay, so this needs to be broken down. So when this hemoglobin breaks down, so what will form, so there will be a formation of bilirubin. Okay, so liver cells extracted from the circulation and secreted into bile juice, poured into the duodenum through the common bile duct. Okay, so here this one is broken down. Okay, so when it is broken down, there will be formation of bile pigments. Okay, so bile pigments, mainly the bilirubin, so there is a formation of biliverdin also. So bile pigment formation will occur. So this is all occurring where, so this is again occurring in the liver itself, because again hemoglobin, when we mention, so hemoglobin is actually a protein, and you know protein breakdown where it occurs. So protein breakdown or glucose, many glucose are gonna combine and glycogen is formed. So all this is occurring in the liver. So liver is very important with this, that is with respect to digestion what occurs. Okay, so now this protein what is there, which is there in the dead RBC, so this will be broken down and it will be forming the bile pigment. So liver cell extracted from the circulation and secreted into the bile juice, poured into the duodenum. So this bile pigment or the bile juice, okay, so this we can mention. So bile juice formation what occurs, so this is given into the duodenum. Okay, so through the common bile duct, so these pigments are modified in the intestine to pigments that give feces their yellow coloration. Are you all understanding? So basically it will enter, so through the bile duct. Okay, so through bile duct what is going to happen, so this bile juice or a bile pigment will enter into the duodenum. Okay, then modified, so some modification will occur here. Okay, so modification of, I'll just write, so this is modification of pigments. Okay, so it is bile pigments only, so that is in the intestine, so that, so this particular fecal material what is there. Okay, so the fecal material what is there, so that is gonna give this fecal material yellowish brown coloration. Okay, so that is mainly because of the breakdown product of this hemoglobin. So some of these pigments are excreted in the urine as well. Okay, so some amount can go through the urine as well. So next part is the excretory organs. Okay, so excretory organs, when we mention, so kidney is there, then there is sweat gland, there is lung, we will see this. Okay, so excretion in humans, that is mainly in mammals, it is brought about by the following organs. Okay, so kidney is there, then there is sweat gland, then there is lung. Okay, so now kidneys, these are the primary excretory organ, throwing out the excretory products, mainly the urea, in the form of a urine. So you know there is kidney, right? So this particular kidney, what is there, I'll just erase this part, just a second. So now this particular kidney, what is this, so there will be formation of kidney. Okay, so this kidney will be having, so it has been shaped like this, so there is a supply of renal artery. Okay, so this one is actually the renal artery. Okay, and then there will be a renal vein as well. Okay, so then there is formation of renal vein. Okay, so this one, let's take a blue coloration. So this is a renal vein. So what happens, so blood is coming. Okay, so this one is actually the renal vein. So what will happen, so blood is coming through the renal artery, and here in this particular renal artery, what I mean, the in the kidney tubule. Okay, so here we will find many nephrons. Okay, so nephrons are here. So nephrons will do the function of formation of urine. So urine formation will occur here, then through the ureter. So here there will be a ureter. Okay, so this ureter is going to carry this. One second, I'll erase that one. Okay, so this particular ureter, what is there? So this is gonna carry the urine which is formed. Okay, so urine which is formed will be carried to the urinary bladder. So now this one is a ureter. Okay, so all this unwanted material, what is there? So that is given out by the kidney itself, so basically in the form of liquid. Okay, so that is the urine. So mainly it will have the urea, which is a toxic compound, and this toxic compound has to be removed out. Okay, so amino acid, excess amount of protein, will be converted into urea here. So next is sweat gland. So excretion by sweat gland. So what exactly happens here? So these are basically for the thermoregulation. That means now the surrounding temperature is too hot. Okay, so since the surrounding temperature is too hot, your body needs to cool down a bit. So what will happen? These sweat glands, what are they? So they'll start secreting this watery or a sweat. Okay, so that is basically to cool down your body as the surrounding temperature is too hot. So in those conditions, so we mention it as a thermoregulation, that is to maintain the same temperature throughout the body. So sweat secreted carries with it small amounts of nitrogenous waste we can find. Okay, so there is small amount of nitrogenous waste. Then sweat gland pass out the sweat only when required for cooling. So whenever body has to cool, so that is when actually the body that is when there is a formation of sweat which is occurring. Okay, so sweat glands pass out the sweat only when required for cooling, that is when the surrounding temperature is hot, or we can say when the body has become hot. Okay, so there is a sweating which has to occur, so that is to cool down. So truly they are not excretory. Okay, so that is just for cooling your body. The sweat glands are producing a sweat so that the same temperature is maintained throughout your body. Okay, so that is the reason sweat is being produced, but not for the excretion which is occurring. But sweat, when it is produced, it will be having some amount of nitrogenous waste. Okay, so there can be some amount of nitrogenous waste which can be present. So through this also actually some amount of waste is going, but doesn't mean that this is actually the excretory organ specifically. So we can consider it because some amount is going, but the main function when we say about the sweat gland, it is mainly for the thermoregulation. So thermoregulation means maintenance of same temperature throughout the body. Okay, so maintenance of same temperature. Okay, so same temperature throughout the body. All right, so I'll just write this one here, throughout the body. All right, so now moving on to the lungs. Okay, so lungs, when we mention, so excretion by lungs in the form of carbon dioxide. So there will be formation of carbon dioxide which is released in the expired air. So you know carbon dioxide is produced by the cellular respiration, and this has to be removed out through the lungs itself, that is through the exhalation process. Okay, so now moving on to the kidney. So before I today's class, I'll just explain you about the kidney as such. So internal structure and all we will see in the next class. All right. Okay, so now when we mention about the kidney, okay, so you can see here the kidney over here, that is towards the right side. Okay, so this right side kidney, what is there? So this is somewhat lower. Okay, so this is slightly lower, and this kidney you can observe, so this is slightly higher. Okay, so this is slightly higher, and when you are drawing, so that is basically above. Okay, so when you are drawing this diagram, so you need to draw the right kidney below itself. Okay, and this one, the left kidney, you need to draw it somewhat up. Okay, so now the kidneys are bean shaped, so as you can see, this is a bean shape now. Okay, so this is bean shape. So kidney we will find in bean shape. So this is with respect to location. So location you need to always keep in mind that you will be writing the exact same sentence given in your textbook. Okay, so organs, which are the bean shaped organs, and these kidneys when we mention, so they are 10 centimeter long. Okay, and 6 centimeter wide. So where are they located? That is, they are located on either side of the backbone and protected by the last two ribs. Okay, so they are protected by the last two ribs, and also either side of the backbone is there. Okay, so now the right side kidney is slightly lower than the left one. So a tube, so this you need to remember. So right side you need to draw a little lower itself. Then a tube, that is the ureter, which is there. So you can see from here there is a tube. This is ureter. Okay, so tube ureter arises from the notch. So here I had just drawn this one. Okay, so this is the tube now, and here this notch is there. Okay, so this particular notch, what is that? So this we call as a hilum. Okay, so we call it as hilum. So wherever this ureter is attached onto the kidney, and this particular notch where the ureter is joining and it is forming this one. Okay, so that is a notch, and that we call as a hilum. Okay, so there is a hilum which is present. So you can see in this one also. So hilum is this particular structure here. Okay, or it can be here, or it can be here on the other side. So that we mention as a hilum. All right, so that is in the median surface of each kidney, and it connects behind the urinary bladder. So you can see here there is a formation. So this particular ureter is formed, and you can see this ureter is ending or opening into this urinary bladder. Okay, so urinary bladder is here. So this one, what is this? So this is actually the urinary bladder. So that is in the lower part of the abdomen. So this one, again, this is location of what? So this is location of the urinary bladder. Okay, so where location with respect to ureter, you can write a tube that enters. So basically the tube that arises from the notch in the median surface of the kidney and connects behind with the urinary bladder. So that can you can mention. So here this is a ureter location. Okay, so ureter location. So this whole sentence, what is there? So you can just take out this one. Okay, so this whole sentence, what is there? So this comes till the location of the ureter. Okay, so this is a location of ureter. This one was the location of kidney, and then the location of the urinary bladder. So urinary bladder is, it is urinary bladder in the lower part of the abdomen. Okay, so that is a location for a urinary bladder. All right, so now the front end of the ureter is somewhat expanded. So now if we see this one, so let's say here is the kidney. Okay, so this one is kidney now. So there is this particular part, what you find somewhat like this in your diagram also you can see. So ureter is joining over here. So this is the ureter. So this particular part, what is there? So here we can mention over here where the ureter is attached. So that we can mention as a hilum. Okay, then you can see that the front end of the ureter. So this is the front end of the ureter. So this one is somewhat expanded. So you can see it is not as narrow as this one. So this is somewhat expanded over here, and this area, what is there? This we call as a pelvis. Okay, so you can see this, the front end of the ureter is somewhat expanded into the kidney, and that we call as a pelvis. Okay, so pelvis location also you need to know. Okay, so this is the pelvis location. So expanded part of the ureter, what is that? So that itself we call as a pelvis. So that is a location. Then, so pelvis meaning is basically basin or a cup. Then urine which is produced in the kidney constantly flows through the ureter, and this will collect in the urinary bladder. So what will happen here? All the nephrons are there. Okay, so you know nephrons will be over in the cortex region as well as the medullary region. So there is the collecting duct which are there. Okay, so all these different collecting ducts which are there, so they are opening into the pelvis. So collecting duct which is collecting the urine, so that is gonna open into this pelvis region. So from pelvis area the urine is moved into the ureter. So this one is now a ureter. Okay, so from ureter where it will go? It will go to this urinary bladder. So here is the ureter, it will reach the urinary bladder. So here this diagram. Okay, so if I draw this urinary bladder over here. Okay, so here the urinary bladder is there and this one is a urethra. Okay, so now this urine which is formed in the pelvis, so there is a pelvis over here. Okay, so urine will be emptied through the ureter. The urine is entering this particular urinary bladder. Okay, so into the urinary bladder, then the urine is intermittently emptied from the urinary bladder. So what will happen? So after about this urinary bladder is about 2/3 full. So what will happen? So this has to be, so urine has to be emptied out. Okay, so outside the body through the urethra. So how we will empty it? It is basically through the urethra. Okay, so there is a urethra which is gonna open up. Okay, so as the urine is full in the urinary bladder, so you will get a sensation because here you will have the sensory cells. Okay, so sensory cells or neurons which can feel the presence of this particular urine in the urinary bladder. So as the urinary bladder is full with the urine, so you will get a sensation that the bladder is full and I need to urinate. Okay, so that is when what will happen? So these sensory cells are gonna sense the urine that is present. The brain is gonna receive the signal. So through the sensory cell, the or the neurons, basically the impulse or message is sent to the brain. Okay, then brain will send a message back to the motor. So it is basically through the motor neuron where it will send this message back to the urinary bladder area, so that this sphincter muscles what are there. So you can see here the sphincter muscle is here. So it will send a message to the sphincter muscle. Okay, so you know always the muscle, what we mentioned, the motor neuron which is carrying this information, so it will be carrying the information to the muscle. So sphincter is, what is it? It is actually the muscle, the which we call as the effector here. Okay, so this muscle or a sphincter muscle, what is that? So that is gonna open up. Okay, so when that open up, so you will be emptying the urine that is through the urethra. So urethra is gonna open up because the sphincter muscles are gonna guard the opening and closing of the urethra. Okay, so now sphincter muscles have got the message or impulse from the brain to open up. So when the urine is full here, so urethra is gonna open up and the urination will occur. So you can see here the openings of the ureter. So this one more thing I need to mention here. So as you can see here, so once the urine is full, okay, so once it is completely present in this particular urinary bladder, so we need to prevent the backflow. So there is a chance that urine which is present over here, so it can backflow. Okay, so it can backflow to this particular kidney. So in order to prevent the backflow, so this particular urine, okay, so this particular ureter, okay, so this is somewhat projecting. So you can see it is not completely straight like this, so it is somewhat projecting like this. Okay, so this projecting end of the ureter, what is there? So it will not allow the backflow, so it will prevent the backflow of the urine back into the ureter, as the ureter is somewhat projecting. Okay, so if it was a if it was a straight, then there was a chance that, so whenever this particular what is this, urinary bladder contracts for urination, so there was a chance that it would go back to the ureter. Okay, so in order to prevent that itself, this particular ureter, what is this, so this is somewhat projecting. Okay, then when we mention, so it is to prevent the backflow of the urine when the bladder contracts to pass out the urine. Then we spoke about the sphincter already. So sphincter muscles, what are there? Okay, so these are actually the circular muscles. So muscle is basically a effector where the brain is gonna work. Okay, so now this sphincter muscle, what is that? So this will guard the opening of the bladder, that is into the urethra. So if the sphincter opens up, okay, so if the sphincter opens up, then only the urine can flow. Okay, so that is going to guard the opening of this urinary bladder into the urethra, and it will relax only at the time of the urination or the micturition. So only when you are ready to urinate, okay, so only then this particular, so it is again going to receive a signal that the sphincter muscle has to open, then only you will start urinating, or otherwise you can hold the urine for some time, but if it is completely full, then you don't even have a control to hold the urine back inside. Okay, so that is mainly because it is completely full. Where should the urine go? So urine cannot go over here, so here this one, so pressure is built over there, and sphincter is gonna open up because the message is sent to the brain, and the brain is gonna send a message or an impulse to this sphincter muscle, so it will open up. Okay, so if it is completely full, so that is why you can hold the urine for certain time period, and after once it is completely full, so it is this particular muscle is gonna open up. So that is why, so should not control your urine mainly for this one reason, and the other one is, so it is going to store the toxic material, or there can be more formation of the bacterial growth we can find. So that is why one needs to avoid holding the urine for a longer time period, because all the tissues, so urea, if it gets accumulated in the tissue, okay, what can happen, so this urea can damage the tissues which are there in your urinary bladder, or it can be with respect to urethra also. So that is why holding the urine for longer time period, it is not good. Okay, so relaxes only at the time of urination. The other term again you need to know, so micturition also. So this is all happening under the impulse from the brain itself. Okay, so brain is involved here, so it is not that only urinary system is working, so there is nervous system also which is having a role. Okay, so based on how the sensation is done, so if too much urine is there, the micturition has to occur. So if it is only a less amount of urine is present, then you can hold the urine for certain time period. So internal structure of kidney, I'll start discussing this in the next class. Okay, so I'll just explain you about the cortex region, the medulla region, yeah, and what exactly are these stripes. Okay, so we will discuss everything about this one in the next class. Okay, so we will just see this. So this part, as you can see here, so this is actually the cortex area. Okay, so this whole part, what is there, so this is completely the cortex area. Okay, where you find this dotted appearance. So dots are nothing but, so this dotted appearance what you find here. Okay, is there a lag? Okay, so is this fine now? 1 second, let me just check. So there is lag. It is fine, Chetna, so you can just refresh once. From my side at least it is fine. Okay, so you can just refresh once. So next class I'll continue this. Okay, so next class, so since the time is up, I'll continue this in the next class. So we will see the internal structure of kidney from the next class. So I'll explain about this one and the medulla cortex region, and then we will see the structure of nephron also. Okay, so that is in the next class. So for today, this is only just remember that when we talk of kidney, so kidney is divided into cortex and medullary region, and there are conical pyramids. So we will see this complete structure in the next class. All right. So before I end the class, let me just say about this one. So you can learn live from the comfort of your home. Okay, so you can have unlimited access to all the courses. Top educators of India are gonna take the classes for you in one platform, so that is Unacademy platform. Okay, so regular doubt clearing. So after about every 3 sessions, we will be keeping one particular session which we call as a doubt clearing session. Okay, so there will be a doubt clearing session. So whatever the topics are covered in these, so we can clear your doubts from this particular 3 sessions. So that is session in the session what we keep, or we can also mention it as an answer writing session. Then exhaustive coverage of a syllabus will be done, mentorship and guidance is given, study material is given, practice test, live test series, batch course. All you need to do is you need to download the Unacademy. Okay, so you need to download Unacademy app. Okay, so this is Unacademy learners app you need to download. Okay, so then you can use my referral code, that is VANIYT. Okay, so VANIYT is my referral code where you can go for the plus subscription. Okay, where you will be getting 10% off on the subscription, and also with this code you can attend my free classes. I'll just explain about this one. Okay, so Unacademy plus subscription for ICSE board. So you can enter my educator code to get 10% discount. Okay, so that is VANIYT is my code. So you can enter VANIYT over here. All right, and you can go for any of these months of subscription based on your convenience. Okay, so we will see. So this particular batch is actually started. So 17 yesterday itself we have started this one, and for class 10 I have a class today. Okay, so this is actually the all subject batch. Udan batch is there. So delivery of language is basically Hindi. So let's say you are subscribing for class 10, so you can get ICSE class 11 to 12 subscription absolutely free. Okay, and here this one is a Mavericks batch. The delivery of language is basically English over here. So again this also has started yesterday itself, so you still have a access for this one. So let's say you are subscribing for class 10, you will get class 11 to 12 subscription absolutely free again. Okay, so this is actually completed. Here you can watch the recordings which are available. Okay, so you can watch the recordings for this as well as this one. Okay, so you can watch the recordings for these. All right, and other than that, so I'll be conducting the free classes, that is special classes on Unacademy learners app. So I'll be giving you the polls, I can show you the leaderboard. Okay, so to know your competitors. Also during a live class, that is a special class, so you can attach an image or you can type in your question and you can send it to the educator, and the educator is gonna clear your doubt during a live class. Okay, so how to watch my special classes? So all you need to do is download the Unacademy learner app. Okay, so download the Unacademy learner app. So open the app and click on get started. Okay, so you need to click on that. Then you can enter your mobile number and a OTP, and also you can sign up using your email ID. All right, so after that, so you can select class 6 to 12. Okay, so you can select this one, so class 6 to 12, and then you can select your category ICSE class 9, 10, 11, 12. So what is, you can basically select your class here. Then language, so which language would you prefer to learn? So that you can select either English, Hindi, English, anything. Okay, so select your preferred language, then go to the description of this video and click on the special class link. Okay, Also you can click on notify me. You will get notified 10 minutes before the class begins. You can use my unlock code, that is Vani YT. Okay, so Vani YT is my referral code. So you can use this particular code. So with this particular codes you can unlock the free courses. Okay, so there are free courses which are available on Unacademy Learners app. So with this code you can unlock them, and also you can take a plus subscription. Okay, so plus subscription where you will be getting 10% discount. Okay, so 10% discount you will get if you use my referral code Vani YT. Okay, so download the Unacademy Learners app now and try all these features for free. Okay, so you can also unlock the different, so there is different quizzes will be there. Okay, so you can take up the different tests, then all India mock test will be there. So in order to unlock them all, so you can use this code and also to get a discount. Okay, so Unacademy, let's crack it. You have any doubts? If you have any doubt you can clear it out. Okay, so I hope not. Okay, okay, then I'll end this class. Bye, Chetna. I hope you enjoyed the session. So tomorrow at the same timing I'll have my session. So tomorrow's session again at 2:45 p.m. Okay, so 2:45 p.m. to 3:45 p.m. Okay, so tomorrow I'll be talking about the structure of nephron. Okay, so we will just discuss about the structure of nephron in next session. Okay, so this is on today is actually 18th, right? So 19th. Okay, so 19th I'm having this one, so you all can join in. Okay, so see you all there. Bye bye. Thank you so much everyone.